Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game you guys requested from the World Rapid Team Championship. It is former World Classical Champion Vladimir Kramnik versus Gukesh, and even though Kramnik no longer plays classical chess, he's officially retired, he still comes out of retirement maybe for a Rapid tournament or a Blitz tournament, or he even plays those no castling games in sometimes in Dortmund, I believe. But now this is a very serious game as it's a former World Champion against Gukesh, who is currently number 8 in the world on the classical ratings list. So it's gonna be a very good game. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's check it out and see if Vladimir can still wield them pieces. So Vladimir has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to e4. Gukesh opens with pawn to c5. He goes for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, e6, and now pawn to d4, striking in the center. And Kramnik even said that they weren't sure if they were gonna even play here, if they should form a team, but they did, and they enrolled only retired or almost retired players like himself. Svidler is playing. Okay, they also have Dominguez on board 1, who is very much active, but they are, here to have some fun. Whereas Gukesh, he is in a very strong team. He's in a team with Levon, with Caruana, and I don't want to trick you guys, so I'm just gonna check real quickly who are all the players. Yeah, he has Caruana on board 1, Levon on board 2, Gukesh is board 3, and then Batiashvili and Tatsalashvili on board 4 and 5, and Schneider on board 6. As this is a sort of a tournament where you have on board 6 you have an unrated player. Someone who is not a professional player, so it's a fun event. But okay, we have pawn to d4, c captures on d4, knight captures, and now knight to c6. We have knight to c3 and queen to c7, going for the Bastrikov variation of the Taimanov. We have bishop to e3 and pawn to a6, bishop to e2. We have knight to f6 and now castles and bishop to e7. So this has all been played before, nothing new here. Pawn to f4 by Kramnik, we have pawn to d6 and now pawn to a4. So of course Gukesh's team is much stronger in rating and of course are the favorites to win this, and of course Vladimir being the former world champion and having the white pieces, he feels that, well, he feels an obligation to play for the win with the white pieces, something he said in an interview after the game. We have castles by Gukesh, king to h1, and now the usual move here is rook to e8. It's pretty much a top move here. No one plays anything else. It's the considered the best, but here Gukesh plays knight captures on d4. He wants to throw Kramnik out of his comfort zone. Maybe he doesn't know this line as it's not very good, and if he didn't check it with the computer, maybe he doesn't know how to punish it. But Gukesh could not be more wrong. We have queen captures on d4, bishop to d7, preparing bishop to c6, and now pawn to a5, grabbing more space here on the queen side. We have bishop to c6 and now bishop to f3, defending on e4 and also ready to counter this bishop if the center opens up. We have rook a to c8, and now he goes back with the queen to d2. We have queen to b8. Now the rook nicely controls the c file, and rook f to d1. And here there is a game where rook f to d8 was played, but here we have knight to d7 by Gukesh, and it is now already as of move 16 that we have a completely new game. So what does Vladimir want to do? He wants to go after the bishop on c6. He goes knight e2. He wants to go knight to d4 and capture the bishop here if possible. We have rook f to d8 and now knight to d4. And now Gukesh just returns with knight to f6. We have knight captures on c6. Vladimir now grabs the bishop pair. B captures and now bishop to b6. Forces the rook to move away. Rook to e8 and now queen to e2. Here Kramnik goes after the a6 pawn. And while you could expect something like queen to b7 to be played, Gukesh decides to strike in the center. He plays pawn to d5. And okay, you can't really capture on a6 right away, because then just d captures on e4, attacks the bishop, and creates a passed pawn. So e captures on d5, we have c captures on d5, and now queen captures on a6. We have rook captures on c2, so Vladimir gets his passed a pawn, but Gukesh gets his passed d pawn. But also here Kramnik has the passed b pawn. He's unable unable to push it to b4 right away as the bishop covers that, so he has to prepare it first. He plays queen to b5. This prepares b4, but also makes room for the a-pawn to start marching forward. We have queen captures on f4. Gukesh even grabs a pawn for this, and now pawn to a6. So very, very nicely played by Kramnik. Rook to a8. Gukesh has to be ready for that pawn. And now a beautiful move by Kramnik, bishop to g1. The absolute top engine move, just going back, freeing up the queen, so a7 and queen to b8 can be played. Not for the moment, as the queen here still guards the b8 square, but also the bishop here covers the h2 pawn. You know that Gukesh will put a bishop on d6 and try and checkmate Kramnik on h2. So bishop to d6, and now rook to a4, activating the rook a little bit more, attacking the queen, so it comes with tempo. Rook to d4 is also an idea. You could also play that. Queen to e5, still keeping the pressure here, and now pawn to a7. And this pawn to a7 is a very interesting move by Kramnik because, well, how do you decide? Do you keep the b pawn because your b pawn is hanging? Do you play b3? And then allow something like h5. We can even show a nice line here, let's say b3, h5, and if a7 now, you play knight to g4. And already it's very annoying, just threatening to capture on h2, so you're going to have to capture. And now if you don't want to see g3, you have to capture the pawn, but that also means you will lose your a7 pawn. So basically, if you don't if you try to defend it, then you lose the a pawn. It's as simple as that. So a7, giving up the b2 pawn. Queen captures on b2, and now queen back to f1. Of course, Kramnik does not want to trade queens. We have pawn to h6. Gukesh creates some breathing room for his king here, and bishop to d4. Attacks the queen, attacks the knight here, but queen to b3 attacks the rook on a4. So rook to a6 attacks the bishop, and now bishop to c7. So again, an excellent square for the bishop, and now you can't really go rook to b1. It's a nice move, but then queen to c4 would just offer a queen trade, so nothing really happening there. So here Kramnik played bishop to e2. Now the bishop covers the c4 square, and now he's ready to maybe play rook to b1, but Gukesh now plays knight to e4, and this is a very, very annoying move, as it, let's say you play rook to b1, already knight to g3 check just ends the game. There's no way to avoid this. If h captures on g3, queen captures on g3, threatening checkmate, and there's nothing you can do. If you go king to g1, just queen to h2 with check, king to f2, queen to h4 with check, king to e3, and now queen to g3 with check. Whatever you play, let's say you block with the bishop, bishop to f3, queen to g5 with check, and now, of course, after king to d3, you will play queen to d2 checkmate. So that is not possible. So instead, after knight to e4, bishop to h5 was played. Kramnik now goes after queen captures on f7, and now comes pawn to f6. Here, pawn to g6 was very much winning for Gukesh. The point is a very funny one, because after the bishop moves, you will play knight to d2, attack the queen and the bishop here, and once the queen moves, doesn't really matter where, you're just going to trade everything. Captures, 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 and look at this, the h2 pawn is hanging, as the bishop here also attacks it. Rook captures on h2, king to g1, rook c2, and now you have a winning position, of course. Yes, the a7 pawn is very nice, but I mean, you're up 3 pawns, so completely winning, of course. But okay, after bishop h5, Vladimir managed to trick Gukesh. Gukesh plays pawn to f6, and now we have bishop, rook captures on e6, which is not the way to go. Here you should play bishop to g4, go after the e6 pawn, and once the pawn attacks it, now you go bishop to f3. And now if knight to d2, now it's a little bit different. It's not the exact same line that we've shown, because queen e1 goes after the e6 pawn. And if you insist on this, then queen captures on e6 check, and now you get checkmated horribly. King to h8, queen captures on h6 with check. The g pawn cannot move. King to g8, and now queen to g7 with checkmate. So after pawn to f6, we have rook captures on e6, and now Gukesh is completely winning, and I'm sure you guys already know what move he played. It's the same line that we've already shown. Of course, you see it without even pausing the video. It is knight to g3 check. Now, of course, you have to capture. If you play king to g1, then you lose your queen. So h captures on g3, queen captures, now threatening checkmate, and king to g1 doesn't work. We already have shown how it loses terribly. So bishop to e5 attacks the bishop here, and the queen, stopping queen to h2 checkmate. Bishop captures on e5, you have to give back the piece. Rook captures, and now queen, not f captures, of course, you don't want to allow bishop to f7 check. So queen captures on e5, and now bishop to g6. not just getting the bishop out of harm's way, but also keeping the black king stuck there on g8, and also comes with tempo. The rook here is attacked. So rook to c4, and now queen to f2. And here, again, a very interesting position, queen to g5 by Gukesh. He didn't spot that the a7 pawn is actually free. I'm going to show it because the point is, after queen captures on a7, there's a rook to h4 with check, and now king to g1, queen to h2 check, king to f1, rook to f4 check, and now just a very nice king hunt. King to e1, queen to g3 with check, king to d2, queen captures on g2 with check, king to c1, and now rook to c4 check, king to b1, rook to b4 check, and with queen to b2 checkmate on the next move, regardless of what white plays. So after this king to d2 move, we have bishop, after this queen to f2 move, queen to g5 was played, and now comes bishop to f5. And here, of course, the position is now completely lost, but they were both in time trouble. Gukesh didn't even see that queen to h5 check picks up the free rook on d1, so he played queen to h4 with check. He forced the queen trade, and he goes into the endgame. Queen captures on h4, rook captures on h4 with check, king to g1, and now finally he grabs the pawn. Rook captures on a7, rook captures on d5, and now king to f7, and he was in this position on move 43 that Vladimir Kramnik resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. Now, Kramnik had an excellent event. He won a lot of games. He drew some of them, but this is the only game that he lost. Now, for those of you who are maybe new to chess and are wondering how to win this, it's actually not that difficult. You're up in exchange, and you're up 2 pawns, so that's quite a lot. To give you an example, if white tries to go up the board, you're going to play rook to b4, and now you're ready for some rook a3, rook to b1, rook to a1 action. And if king to f3, you will play g6, kick away the bishop. You don't want to start moving your rooks to allow this check, so let's just kick away the bishop. And now the bishop has to go somewhere. There just isn't a good square. Let's say bishop to c8, rook to a3 check, king f2, rook to b2 check, king to g1, and now rook a to a2. And if you don't want to get demolished here, you will have to play bishop to h3, guard the g2 pawn, and now let's say f5 that completely locks the bishop out of the game. There's nothing to play for here. But yeah, after king to f7, Kramnik resigned, and an excellent win for young Gukesh. So you've seen how Gukesh tried this tricky line against Kramnik, where the knight was traded on d4. After this knight captures on d4 move, Kramnik gained an excellent position. He got his bishop all the way to b6, so that's great. But in the end, when it came to time trouble, when it was a race, Gukesh showed why he is now world number 8 in classical chess. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, first link in the description below is an interview with Vladimir Kramnik after the tournament, so you can hear him talk about Gukesh, about Pragnananda, and about youngsters in chess nowadays, and a lot of other interesting topics on Chess-Based India's channel. If you want to check it out. So yeah, once again, really hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Robert Bloom, Andrew Woolley, Mokosoft, GuernseyChessFestival.org.gg, and India Moon for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, such as this one, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.